Are you moving to Tampa? You might want to check out Land O'Lakes. Stay tuned if you want to learn more about that. Hi everybody, thanks for tuning into my channel Living in Tampa, where it's my goal to show you everything you need to know about eating, sleeping, living, and playing in the greater Tampa Bay area. Today's video is going to be all about the Land O'Lakes area, so let's get to it. Thanks for tuning in. If it's your first time to my channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, ring that little bell so you'll be notified each and every time that I release a new video. As promised, today's video is all about Land O'Lakes, and I wanted to start with just a little bit of history about the area. I thought it was appropriate to shoot this video from this beautiful lake behind me. This is Lake Paget. I'm in a little tiny cluster community that has just been built. There's still a couple of homes in here that are for sale. They are gorgeous. And of course you've got this wonderful lake as your view. So Land O'Lakes, let's talk about that. Land O'Lakes was back in the 1880s. It really wasn't Land O'Lakes yet. It was just like a bunch of little tiny communities, and they all had different names. There was like Drexel and Erin and 5A and Myrtle and a bunch more of different communities. They didn't really have a central location or anything. They were just kind of spread out all through this area that is now known as Land O'Lakes. And then back in the like 1930s, I believe, is when it was mostly just citrus farms everywhere. And there's still several areas where there are citrus trees, and citrus trees grow just wonderfully here. I myself, in my backyard, I have a really unique tree that a lot of people don't even know you can get. It's like a blend of all these different citruses. So it grows 4 different kinds of citrus, and at different times of year it produces them. So we get oranges out of it, we get lemons, we get limes, and we get grapefruits. Now, I planted that tree probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I have to say that the oranges are pretty bitter, and I have a hard time, distinguishing between the oranges and the grapefruits, but I love the limes and the lemons, and it's just so cool. I think it was called a citrus cocktail tree, and that's one of the neat things about Florida is you can grow basically any kind of fruit tree in your yard. I've sold lots of houses where they had, avocado trees or banana trees. I mean, you can pineapple little plants. You can grow pretty much any kind of fruit in our climate that you can think of, and it's pretty neat to be able to have that just in your backyard. But anyway, I'm getting off subject. Back to Land O'Lakes. So again, it was mostly citrus farms, and then there was an elementary school, that was built. Eventually it was called Myrtle. So back to those names of those communities that were here originally. You see a lot of those that go into the communities that are now here. Like we've got Drexel Road, and we've got, Tower Road, we've got Myrtle Elementary, we've got Dupree Lakes and Dupree Gardens. Speaking of Dupree Gardens, was in World War II, it was this gorgeous garden. I'm going to drive you by where it was in the little driving tour later, but it was basically 25 acres. This guy had a ton of land, and he just loved gardening, and then he took 25 acres of this and decided to open it to the public because everyone had always raved about how beautiful his gardens were, and they turned it into really almost like a little resort kind of thing. It had gift shop and restaurants. It had of course, being near the lake, it had boats that you could go out on the lake on. It had a little hotel, and unfortunately, the timing of that opening, I guess, was really bad because it didn't make it, because I think it opened, I believe it was like right when World War II was, and at first it was very successful. A lot of people came, but then, with the war raging on, it got to the point where no one was really allowed to travel. They ended up having to close it down indefinitely, and then it just closed altogether. The lodge that was on that property, I guess, was later turned into a private residence, and now there's pretty much nothing left of it, but there is this historical marker that shows like the ticket booth where you went into that garden that I'm going to drive you by, and that is where now Dupree Lakes community has been built, which is a large community just north of here, a few miles. Beautiful community, and I'll probably drive you through that community as well. So that's just a little bit of the history of that part of Land O'Lakes. But you know, you might be wondering, where did Land O'Lakes get its name? Well, obviously there's a lot of lakes in Land O'Lakes. I think what I read was that there's over 50 lakes just in an 18 square mile radius, and that's a lot of lakes pretty much everywhere. If you look on the map, you can see there really are lakes pretty much everywhere, and some of the lakes are really small, but they still, I guess, count as lakes. And then we do have, though, a really dry season where it doesn't rain. Most of our rain happens in the summer. I think I've shared that with you guys on some previous videos. But in those months where it doesn't rain, a lot of the lakes get really, really low, and you can just see most of the, you know, dirt and bottom almost of most of these lakes, like the small ones. So a lot of people joke and say that during that time of year it should be called the Land of Ponds instead of the Land of Lakes. A lot of the lakes are, I will say, man-made, because what happens is when all this development takes place, which has really happened a lot here recently in Land O'Lakes, when they tear down all the trees, then that water has to have somewhere to go. You know, that these trees were absorbing all this water before, and then you clear away all these trees in an area that gets as much rain as we do. You have to have somewhere for that water to go. So they build these ponds, and it's pretty sophisticated the way that they do it, because the water drains into these ponds, and then the ponds are connected together so that none of them like overflows. So there's not only a lot of lakes in Land O'Lakes, but there's also a lot of man-made retention ponds that have been built here lately with this crazy amount of construction that has taken place in this area. But back to the history of Land O'Lakes. In 1975, Land O'Lakes High School was built, and it's still there. They just did a major renovation on it maybe a year or two ago. It is called appropriately, their mascot is the Gators, and they are the rivals of my daughter's high school. My daughters attend Sun Lake High School, so you'll see the you know, the name continuing in Land O'Lakes, trying to incorporate the lake name into pretty much everything. But we were the Sun Lake Seahawks, and the Land O'Lakes Gators. There's a big, huge rivalry, and it's a lot of fun whenever those two teams play against one another. In 1990s is when Land O'Lakes really started to see some areas of rapid growth. There were several more schools, you know, that were built, a lot more of these neighborhoods. And here just recently, I have to tell you, since I moved here in 2008, you can barely even recognize it. It used to be just this real small, quaint little area, but now, you know, it's just nonstop construction. So the further north you go, the less of that you get, but all along the 54 corridor, they are building and building and building. I think I read that there's over 180 people that move to Florida any given day, and I'm thinking a lot of them are coming here to Land O'Lakes. It must be because it's so affordable. But yeah, as far as the history goes, that was when the main population growth took place, and the last census in 2018 showed that there's 37,000 people that live in Land O'Lakes. I'm sure that's gone a lot higher since then, but that was the last census number that's available. So that's, you know, not too big considering. But the thing about Land O'Lakes that I find unique is it's not like a lot of towns where you have like a true downtown. You know, they don't have a place where you know, like a little main street or whatever, where you walk around and you have all the little shops. Land O'Lakes is more spread out, and it's more just like the name for the area. if that makes sense, and not just real concentrated. So it's really spread out. But again, that's the history of Land O'Lakes. Now just a little bit about what I think about Land O'Lakes. For us, it's been a really great area. We've enjoyed living here. You know, we moved here. When we moved here, we had 4 young children. They're since now grown for the most part, but it's been a great place to raise a family. We've been really pleased with the schools. That's what originally attracted us to Pasco County when my husband got stationed here. He was commuting all the way down to MacDill, which is a long commute, but what we were able to afford at that time, being that we needed quite a large house with 4 children, it was much more affordable to be in Pasco County. The taxes were lower, and there were a lot more schools that were highly rated. Hillsborough County, there's only a couple of schools that are highly rated in those couple of school zones. For us at that time, it was just a little too rich for our blood. So we ended up in Pasco County, and I'm really glad that we did. I have really enjoyed Land O'Lakes. My kids really enjoy it. Sometimes they say it's kind of a boring place to live, but you know, you can be in Tampa in no time, and there's so much to do in Tampa. So in my opinion, I think Land O'Lakes is a great place for a young family, young professional, if you need easy access to Tampa, if you like kind of that suburban feel, but you don't want to be too far away, then Land O'Lakes is definitely worth considering. Hey, do me a favor, if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell, so you'll be notified every time that I release a new video. It really helps me out, and I'd really appreciate if you could do that for me. So next up, I'm going to take you on a little driving tour of Land O'Lakes. It's a little bit long, sorry about that, but I wanted to really give you a feel for what the area is like. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time. Alright guys, so to wrap this video up, I'm just going to do a little driving tour of Land O'Lakes. Right now I'm actually pointed south on US Highway 41, which is one of those roads in this area that has about 15 different names depending where on the road you are. So right here it is still referred to as US 41, Highway 41, but this is right at county line. So right here is where Hillsborough County becomes Pasco County, and the name of this road changes to Land O'Lakes Boulevard, and because we are practically in Land O'Lakes. So Land O'Lakes has a really funny outline on the map. State Road 54, on parts of State Road 54, which is the main west-east corridor in the Land O'Lakes area. On one side of the road you're in Lutz, and on the other side of the road you're in Land O'Lakes. So it's really a funny kind of little shape that Land O'Lakes has, as you can see on the map that I'm throwing up here on the screen. But over here to my left, we've got a super Walmart. That's like a big highlight here in this area. This tropical village on the right, is really popular because it's got that little breakfast nook restaurant in there, and everyone loves it. My husband goes there all the time. I have yet to go, but he raves about it. He meets a friend of his there regularly, and he said the food is phenomenal. But as you can see right here, that just said Lutz Animal Hospital. So, you know, some of this stuff is Lutz here still, for as far as the actual physical address goes. And up here, we're getting to State Road 54, and this is really where we get into Land O'Lakes. So, I wanted to show you a little bit about it. Land O'Lakes, as I said previously, is kind of different because it's made up of what used to be a lot of little small communities, so it's not really like a true town where you've got like a downtown, or you've got, you know, town hall or courthouse and all that kind of stuff. That's not the way that Land O'Lakes is made up. There's not really like a true city center or downtown. It's just really this road, 41, or Land O'Lakes Boulevard, and Collier Parkway kind of make up the main heart, I would say, of Land O'Lakes, but it does go pretty far north on 41 up here. And then you've also got the Suncoast Parkway, which is a toll road, which is just a little bit further west that also runs north-south. It becomes the Veterans Expressway when you get into Hillsborough County, but up here it's referred to as the Sinkholes Parkway. And that also, it takes you up to State Road 52, which still part of that is Land O'Lakes up there. So, and that's about 10 miles north. So anyway, here we are coming up on some of the little local places that we've got. That's a Tiki Cove over there. There's a lot of nurseries. Of course, that makes sense, being that Land O'Lakes used to have so much citrus, and also the Dupree Gardens thing that I talked about earlier. So I'm going to take you by where that little landmark is as well. But as you can see, this is pretty rural type of area. This main drag here just has a lot of little businesses on it, a few restaurants, appropriately the marine thing, because again, there's so many lakes here. You definitely, if you like boating, there's lots of options for that. There's quite a few little breweries. This one right here is called In the Loop Brewery. So if you like craft beer, that's a neat little hangout. They've got a space that you've got the lake view back there, and it's a really cool outdoor setup that they have. There's another brewery. I think there's 2 or 3 now along this strip, but that one definitely, In the Loop, is my husband and I's favorite. Their beer is really good if you like beer. And then up here we've got another staple coming up to Land O'Lakes that a lot of people just love, is this ABC Pizza that you can see on the left. They also own what's Pizza Villa. It's the same people that own those, and they have really good pizza, calzones, things of that nature. And right up here is the tax collector and the supervisor of elections, and where you go, and DMV, all that good stuff is right here on my left. But as you can see, again, there's not really any true like downtown type of thing. A lot of the street names obviously are named after lakes, as are a lot of the neighborhoods. I am going to take you up here just a little bit further to show you a few other things. So Land O'Lakes Boulevard is also where Land O'Lakes High School is located. It's quite a bit further north, so I probably won't take you all the way up there. I don't want this to be dragged out too long and too boring, but I am going to take you up to Erin Cutoff, and where Dupree Gardens was, and where the new post office is. The thing about Land O'Lakes is it is growing rapidly. Now this area here hasn't changed too much. Where it's mostly changing is on State Road 54 is just exploding, and I think that's because, you know, it's the closest distance-wise to Tampa. Literally, you're in Tampa in like 5 minutes from State Road 54. You know, tops. It's just a few miles down to County Line Road. So it makes it easy for people that are commuting, you know, to live there. The houses are a little bit cheaper here. Here's the post office on my right, and also the community center. This is usually a very bustling place. Right now it's 2:30 in the afternoon, so kids are still, you know, in school, but they do have all kinds of sports for the kids that take place there. Anything from, you know, football to baseball to all the typical, you know, sports for the younger kids. And they've got all kinds of cool events there. They do a lot of like movies at the park, and lots of community events where you can hang out. They do like a jazz music like festival type of thing. But here we are at Erin Cutoff, and the main reason I wanted to bring you here is because of a lot of the things that I mentioned earlier in the video are off of this road, and were kind of named after this area. There's McGuire's Lawn Service. We use them. They do a really nice job. They're not the cheapest, but they do a great job. And there is Countryside Montessori. That's a very reputable school, and a lot of people send their children there, especially when they're younger. Now, coming up right here, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stop for you to see it, because it's going to kind of sneak up on me. It does this every time, and people drive way too fast on this road. But what I love about this road is there's usually like always cows in this pasture to the left. I don't see them today. Oh yeah, they're way off in the distance. They're still over there. But it's crazy because there's this pasture with all these cows in it still, and there's two huge master planned developments right here. Dupree Lakes, here's the historical marker right there of Dupree. That's where Dupree Gardens used to be. So I'll see if I can go back over there to show you. And this is the neighborhood that was built there, Dupree Lakes. This is a huge community. Beazer Homes built it. It hasn't been that long that it's been here. I want to say maybe 04, 05 they started building. I think it kind of stalled and didn't get finished, and then started up again after, you know, the downturn of the market at that time. But this is their clubhouse here. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Just doing a little U-turn here to see if I can get back to that Dupree Gardens. But again, this area right here where all these homes were built is where most of the Land O'Lakes history really started. Okay guys, I'm back. So I didn't want to bore you driving through that whole neighborhood because it is quite large, but I did want to show you just the typical street in here in Dupree Lakes. It is, some people would say, pretty cookie cutter kind of neighborhood. All the houses are very similar. The lots are kind of small, but it's very nice, very well maintained. And the homes are all newer for the most part. So you do get a quality home in a neighborhood that's very stable. I think it's a lovely neighborhood. I wouldn't mind living here. And it's definitely great when you have children because, as you can see, you've got the sidewalk here. You have that nice clubhouse that I showed you earlier where you've got the clubhouse and the pool and the playground and all that kind of stuff. So as with most master planned communities in Land O'Lakes, the way that the community is broken up is it's this huge neighborhood, but then there's little subdivisions within the neighborhood. So it gives it more of a small towny kind of feel, and most of them have a couple of ingresses and egresses. Dupree Lakes comes out here at Collier Parkway on the one side, and then the other entrance is on Erin Cutoff, which will lead you to Land O'Lakes Boulevard or US Highway 41. So we are up here, you know, I would say about halfway up, well, not quite halfway up north of Land O'Lakes, maybe a third of the way into Land O'Lakes. So, you know, this is a little more rural still than it is closer to 54. But we're coming up on where all the little neighborhoods on Collier Parkway are. And that's a really nice area to consider if you're considering a move to Land O'Lakes, because there's quite a few neighborhoods there that are not part of the master plan communities that have what's referred to as CDD fees. If you're not familiar with CDD fees, you might want to check out my video on that. It's basically just the way that the builder has figured out to charge people for the infrastructure of a neighborhood. So basically they pass that cost on to the homeowners in the form of a tax, and for that you do get a nice amenities. So like these little neighborhoods here, some of them are called Sable Ridge, like that one's Sandpiper Cove at Sable Ridge. So a lot of them are part of the Sable Ridge community. They don't have, for the most part, community pools or you know, any amenities like that. So you don't pay that extra money. But they are very nice neighborhoods. They do have an HOA. so they are very well maintained, and they're very conveniently located here on Collier Parkway. So you can be down to State Road 54 in just a matter of minutes. You've got easy access to, you know, all that State Road 54 has, the shopping and the restaurants, and for commuting purposes, you know, access to I-75 off of 54, State Road 589, which is the toll road, is Sinkholes Parkway. And you can get down to 275 as well fairly easily by taking 41 down to it. So it definitely gives you a lot of options for commuting. So here we are back at Bell Lake Road. We passed that earlier when we were on 41. So there's a few gated communities as well on Collier Parkway. I'd say the majority of them are not gated, but that one there, the Lakes, is gated. And then we're coming up on Lake Paget. Now you may have seen Lake Paget in the news because it had a very large sinkhole that did make national headlines. And, you know, we do get sinkholes here in Florida. That is part of our natural disasters. You know, it seems like every area has something. You know, people have tornadoes or, you know, tsunamis. We've got, of course, the hurricanes in Florida. Tampa Bay's been lucky with that, but we also have sinkholes. Over here on the left is Plantation Palms. Now that is a golf course community. Also past Collier Place on the right, which is a gated community. Plantation Palms has a really nice golf course. It was just redone. It did go bankrupt a few years back, and then it was purchased and completely revamped. They also have like a putt-putt course, and it's super nice because really nice homes on the golf course, and it's also got a clubhouse that has a really good restaurant, and so it makes for a really nice neighborhood. Over here we've also got on our right Valencia Gardens, which, as you can see, is gated. I, however, am going to turn left here and go into the Land O'Lakes Recreational Complex. So here I am at the Land O'Lakes Recreational Complex. It is early voting right now, as you can see the long lines, all the people with their masks on. Hopefully you could see that. I don't know if you could or not. I have not voted yet. I'm probably going to be here tomorrow doing that. Tomorrow's the last day to early vote in Land O'Lakes, October 31st, Halloween. But I wanted to show you a little bit of the recreational complex because it's quite large. They've got dog parks here, a couple of dog parks for large and small dogs. They've got obviously all these football fields and basketball courts, baseball fields. This place too is hopping in the evenings and on the weekends. Sorry about all these speed bumps. But yeah, when our kids were younger, we spent a lot of time here because they also have that indoor gymnasium, which has, you know, volleyball and basketball. They've got karate there. Our kids did karate for a while. It's a great place when your kids are younger and you're just really trying to figure out what they really like, for them to be able to try everything out. So this is a nice feature that the Land O'Lakes community has, for sure. Okay, so I didn't want to make this video too long, so I'm just going to do a little bit more. I'm going to show you the preschool. I mean, not the preschool. I don't know why I said that, just because I'm passing this preschool, I guess. I'm going to show you the actual elementary school. They do have quite a few in Land O'Lakes now, but this is Lake Myrtle Elementary, and I wanted to show it to you because, of course, I had mentioned it, you know, previously. This is one of the original schools that was built in Land O'Lakes, Lake Myrtle Elementary. So there it is. They're about to get out of school. So okay, so just wanted to show you that school, and now I'm just going to show you a little bit of State Road 54, just to give you an idea of what that's like, and that will wrap up this video. So like I said, we're not very far north of 54 anymore. We'll be coming up on it real soon right here. There's another school coming up, a private school called Academy at the Lakes, in Land O'Lakes. How appropriate, right? And then we've got Harvester Church over here on the left. It's a huge church. A lot of people attend there, as well as this Catholic church coming up here is Our Lady of the Rosary. That one is also a very large church. So we just passed Academy at the Lakes, and we are coming up on 54 is the next light after this one. So there's some shops up here on our right. It's going to be a Publix shopping center, which is our main grocery store chain that we have in the Tampa area. We've also got, we still have Winn-Dixie here, but I would say that Publix is by far the main grocer. And we also have here in Land O'Lakes a brand new, just opened maybe a month ago. This Crunch Fitness is huge. Now that actually used to be a Winn-Dixie. It's on my left here. I don't know if you can see it, but that used to be a Winn-Dixie, but that one for some reason didn't make it and closed down. Quite a few things here did close down. At this corner, like right across here, also used to be a Kmart, and that of course closed down when they all did. That has now become another church, Grace Family Church. So there's a large presence of churches in this community. Pretty much any denomination that you're going to be able to find services for. And there's also a large variety of little restaurants and shops, and we're so close to, if you turned left here, you're going to be at the Tampa Premium Outlets in less than 5 minutes. That is just an amazing, very new. I mean, I think it's only been a few years that it opened. There's so many shops in there. They say it's an outlet, but I think the prices really are the same as a regular mall, but it's a very nice complex. You can get, any store you can think of. It's pretty much just like a mall. It's an open air kind of thing, and it's beautiful. There's a Costco over there. Several restaurants. They just opened. I'm so excited. My husband and I are going to get to be one of the first guests at this Rock and Brews that's over there. It's a new chain that I had never heard of, but it has this big, huge picture of Bruce Springsteen and the American flag, and I guess they play all kinds of rock music, and I'm excited to check it out. So back to our tour though, because that's all to the west of us. We're heading east now. As you can see, it's mostly just little stores, like car stores, and a few restaurants. There was Village Inn and Chili's. And then up here, this is brand new as well. And that's what I'm saying, that Land O'Lakes has just exploded here recently, because this never used to be here. And that little Coffee Time shop is excellent. They have some really good, unique coffees. All the organic and delicious coffee. And then coming up here, we have another gym, a YouFit, is going to be coming up, where you see all the cars coming in and out up here. Olympus Pools, if you're going to build a pool, they definitely have a great reputation. And various banks, of course. But yeah, this complex up here I wanted to show you, and then I'm probably going to call it quits. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm already at like 22 minutes, so I don't want it to get too boring. But as you can see in here, we've got Marshalls and Bells, and there's like a Rack Room Shoes, there's Chinese buffet, there's just a little bit of everything. Oh no, it's not Rack Room, I'm sorry, it's Shoe Carnival. But yeah, you know, there's lots of little places you can get your nails done. There's a veterinarian, there's a great pizza shop in there. I think it's called New York Pizza. But yeah, I mean, basically, Land O'Lakes is a great place to live if you don't want to be really having that city feel and you want to be not too far away from everything. I think Land O'Lakes is a great choice. I've lived here personally. I love it. I'm sad that we're gonna be moving soon, but I'm excited because we're actually moving to the beach, and that's been a lifelong dream of mine. But when you are raising your children and you need to, you know, have easy access to Tampa, I would say that Land O'Lakes is definitely a top choice. Well, folks, that's it. That's all about Land O'Lakes and the little driving tour too. I hope it's been useful to you. Listen, if you're even thinking about moving to the Tampa Bay area, you've got to give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email. Any questions you might have. I love it when people reach out to me with questions. It's one of my favorite things. If there's another area that you'd like me to go into detail about, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just reach out and let me know. You can call me, you can email me, you can text me. Whatever method of communication you like is fine. I'm always available. When it comes to moving to Tampa, I've got your back. And again, do me a favor, hit that little subscribe button, ring the little bell so you'll be notified every time that I release a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.